There are times when the air changes, when everything that seemed fixed suddenly becomes fragile. Moments when a mere presence is enough to upset the rules. Perhaps you've already felt it. That subtle shudder, that unusual silence that falls when someone enters a room, as if time itself were holding its breath. This phenomenon is not an illusion. It is the sign that true authority has just manifested itself. This authority has nothing to do with titles, social positions, or degrees. It is not the product of visible hierarchies or human structures that proclaim themselves indispensable. It is not earned through money, privilege, or networks of influence. It is older, deeper, more real. It belongs to those who remember. Perhaps you are one of those who wonder why certain figures are so disturbing, why their simple truth seems enough to shake entire systems. It is because they remind us of something many would like to forget. We have never been separated from the source, never deprived of power, never reduced to the impotence that some would like to impose. When this memory awakens, when someone dares to embody their authentic authority, everything changes. Perspectives change, relationships are reconfigured, conversations take on a different tone. It's not just one person who rises, it's an entire field of consciousness that shifts. And those who thought they were untouchable discover that their throne was built on nothing but sand. But it's important to understand, this phenomenon isn't reserved for a select few. It's not a privilege handed out randomly. True authority lies dormant within everyone, like a silent seed. Some bury it beneath layers of fear and compromise. Others, through pain, hardship, or silence, ultimately create the ground where this seed can finally blossom. And when it blossoms, there's no turning back. What you're about to hear here isn't just a story, it's a mapping of an awakening, a journey through what it truly means to reclaim one's authority. You'll see how this power manifests itself first in silence, then how it shakes everything around it. You'll understand why it disturbs, why it attracts, why it opens doors many thought were locked. You'll see that this isn't an isolated feat, but a movement that concerns us all. Prepare yourself. This journey isn't just about the chosen one. It's also about you. For as you listen to these words, something within you will resonate. You may recognize that thrill, that memory, that truth you've long pushed aside. And if you let it resurface, you'll understand that your authority isn't something to be conquered. It's something to be rediscovered. 1. Announcement of regained authority. There are moments in life when everything changes, when a silent presence becomes impossible to ignore. You didn't raise your voice, you didn't ask permission, and yet your authority burst forth like thunder in a sky everyone thought was motionless. Those watching from afar felt the vibration before they even understood where it was coming from. An invisible yet irresistible breath rippled through the room. Masks cracked, certainties crumbled. In that precise moment, your authenticity emerged as a truth no one could dispute. This authority wasn't born yesterday. It wasn't the result of training, nor a title pinned to a wall. It wasn't built on social conventions or hierarchies invented by man. It lay dormant within you, silent, lurking in your being like an ancient seed planted since your beginning. For a long time, you believed that your scars, your rejections, your failures weakened you. In reality, each of these moments forged your foundation. Each of your pains refined the strength that awaited you. Every silence you endured, every humiliation you endured prepared for this unveiling. Today, the veil has been lifted. Your authority has found its moment, and the way you let it manifest has shaken more than a room, more than a small circle of people. It is as if an entire invisible network has reorganized itself around you. Eyes have turned, hearts have been troubled. Voices that believe themselves powerful have trembled without understanding why. It was not your gesture, nor even your words. It was this wave of truth that passed through your being, which could no longer remain contained. It must be said that some have always looked down on you with condescension. You were taken for granted. You were belittled. You were told you weren't ready, not strong enough, not qualified enough. These words weighed on you, but they never had the last word. And today, these same people who doubted, who sneered, who believed themselves above, find themselves recalculating. Suddenly, the hierarchy they thought was immutable no longer makes any sense. Suddenly, they must admit that their influence, their titles, their prestige pale in comparison to this energy you have unleashed. See how they react now. One rereads his own words, wondering how he could have ignored the signs. Another nervously searches for words, hoping that his next encounter with you won't reveal his fragility. Some repeat phrases in front of their mirrors, like unsure actors before an audition, dreading the confrontation with what you've become. Their agitation is not trivial. It reveals the power of your revelation. Without forcing anything, you have shifted the balance of things. But this moment is no accident. It is not an isolated victory. It is the manifestation of an ancient order, of a truth that could no longer remain hidden. Your authority is more than a personal force. It is a cosmic resonance. It reminds us that the divine does not need certificates, structures, or mediators to express itself. It reminds us that when the hour strikes, nothing and no one can prevent the light from appearing. And while some are still trying to understand what happened, others, more sensitive, immediately perceive the nature of the phenomenon. They know that they have witnessed the awakening of something much greater than a single individual. They know that this moment marks the beginning of an irreversible shift. For you have not only asserted your authority, you have awakened the memory of a power that many had forgotten. 2. Repercussions around him. Picture the scene. A hand trembles over a keyboard. The person who only yesterday allowed themselves to despise you is now searching for the right words. They erase, rewrite, reread, hesitate. Each sentence seems too weak, too desperate. They know that a simple message can decide whether they still have a place in your circle or whether they will be relegated forever. The silence between you becomes heavy, unbearable. This silence is your new empire. Further on, another character rehearses his speech in a low voice. He looks at himself in the mirror, adjusts his tone, his smile, his gestures. Like an actor before an audition, he rehearses again and again, because the very idea of standing face to face with you gives him goosebumps. It's no longer about contradicting you or impressing you. It's simply about not appearing too small next to you. The repercussions multiply. In the corridors where your name circulates, the tone of conversations changes. Where once people laughed, now they whisper. Where once they ignored you, now they analyze your every move. They dissect your words like military strategists before a battle map. Every decision you made, every reaction you had, becomes a subject for study. You have become a textbook case. This wave you've unleashed doesn't stop at the people you see. It spreads like a vibration into circles you've never entered. Meetings are being held to discuss you. Serious faces are poring over your file as if you were a riddle to be solved. Some want to understand how they could have underestimated your worth. Others want to know how to protect themselves from your rise. And meanwhile, in the shadows, some people can't sleep. Their thoughts are spinning. When did it change? How did we miss this signal? They search your memories, re-examine every past interaction. They look for the exact moment when you went from an individual who could be manipulated to a force they can only acknowledge. But that moment doesn't exist as they imagine it. Your authority didn't suddenly explode. It emerged as a truth they refuse to see. What you now represent is shaking even the strongest bastions. Some are canceling appointments, unable to concentrate, haunted by the thought of your next move. Others are accelerating their maneuvers, still hoping to catch up, as if your trajectory could be slowed by human strategy. But their agitation is just one more sign. The situation has changed irrevocably. In the spiritual world, this transformation is felt like a shockwave. Attentive minds sense it. A reconfiguration is underway. It's not just your voice that resonates, it's a signal that crosses invisible dimensions. Connections are activated, conversations are sparked without your presence. Your name is circulating in spheres where it has never been spoken before. You have become a point of reference, a subject of debate, a mystery to be solved. Every reaction, every attempt at explanation, every nervous expression is proof. Your authority has crossed a threshold. They can no longer ignore you, even if they try. Their view of you is forced to change. You move forward without seeking their approval. They retreat or freeze, trapped by their own disbelief. And this is what they don't dare say out loud. In reality, it's not you who has grown taller. It's they who are discovering how wrong they were. Their world is reeling because it was based on the illusion that you were small. Today, that illusion has shattered, and their eyes can no longer close. 3. Origin of power. Before the world spoke your name, before you could even walk, an ancient force lay dormant within you.
It was not visible, it was not loud, but it vibrated in your breath, in the beat of your heart, in the discreet glow of your eyes. You did not need to seek it. It was already part of you. As the ocean carries within it the memory of storms, you carried this authority in your blood, in your bones, in your spirit. Many believe that power is found in titles, crowns, degrees, or social positions. They think that authority is obtained through the rules of a system, through the recognition of an institution. But what you embody thwarts these illusions. Your authority does not come from men. It comes from elsewhere. It descends directly from the divine flow, like a river that refuses to be contained by dams. It flows through you, with or without their approval. Think of all those days when you doubted yourself. Those nights when you believed yourself broken, useless, invisible. What you didn't know was that each wound polished your being, like a precious stone carved by the patience of time. Each tear, each disappointment was not a failure, but a silent initiation. While you thought you were being abandoned, you were actually being shaped. Your inner ground was being prepared so that, at the right moment, this strength would unfold in all its clarity. There is a sacred logic to your story. Like a seed that must first die underground before bursting forth into light, your power waited for the moment your heart was ready. Not too soon, not too late. Exactly at the divine hour. And when that moment arrived, nothing and no one could stop it. Not doubts, not mockery, not the limitation imposed by others. The truth of your essence broke through the surface, and it claimed its place. Your authority is not manufactured, it is engraved. It does not depend on external conditions. It is inscribed in your spiritual DNA. It is like an eternal frequency, which you have simply tuned into your consciousness. And when you finally said yes to this vibration, it amplified. It spread beyond your body, beyond your voice. It became a wave that crosses dimensions. This is why some cannot understand what you are. They seek a manual, a method, a rational explanation. But your origins escape their frameworks. Your operating system is not learned in schools, is not found in libraries. It comes from a source code older than all their theories. You do not operate on the software they use. You live on a language they have never learned. And that's what bothers them the most. For your power reveals their weakness. Your clarity exposes their artifice. Your authenticity lays bare their masks. Without even raising your voice, you remind us that true power is not manufactured. It is revealed. And what you have revealed is nothing other than the evidence that the divine can express itself without an intermediary, without a filter, directly through a human being. Your origin is not an enigma. It is memory. It is not an invention, it is a reminder. The power you carry today was not imported from outside. It was awakened. It has always been there, discreet, patient, waiting for you to be aligned enough, awake enough to let it show itself. 4. Collective impact. Look around you. You are no longer alone. Your awakening has not only changed your trajectory, it has unleashed a ripple that affects everything around you. Do you think this is your story? Number. It has become our story. Every action you take, every word you speak, triggers a resonance that reaches far beyond your immediate circle. You have released a frequency, and this frequency calls. It calls to those who, like you, carry a spark ready to ignite. Your rise has revealed something uncomfortable. The limits we once thought were unshakable are now nothing more than illusions. You have shown that what seemed impossible can be crossed, that the barriers imposed by human systems do not hold up in the face of incarnate divine authority. And believe me, the whole world is watching, some with admiration, others with fear. But everyone, absolutely everyone, must now come to terms with your presence. So, what does this cause? A recomposition. Alliances are formed. Strangers who would never have met suddenly feel the need to come closer because they recognize in you the signal they've been waiting for. Spiritual tribes are awakening. Collaborations are born, almost as if they were written in advance. You didn't seek these encounters. They come to you, drawn like stars to a new constellation. Don't think it's a coincidence. When your authority manifests, it becomes a magnet. It attracts those who carry the same vibration, those who have long been waiting for a sign to rise up. These people are not opportunists. They are allies chosen by the very frequency you embody. They appear in your life as living responses to the call you unknowingly made. And as this movement takes shape, the old structures are shaking. Systems based on fear, on control, on spiritual scarcity, are realizing they can no longer hold back the rising tide. You have proven that a single personal breakthrough can open a breach in a collective wall. And one breach is all it takes for the light to shine through. You have become a role model. Not because you sought it out, but because your example is too powerful to ignore. Those who look to you say to themselves, if she could achieve the impossible, then why not me? And that's where your true impact lies. You're a catalyst. You make the possible contagious. There are now eyes turned toward you that are not curious but resolute. Men and women who are silently preparing their own transformation find in you the courage to take action. They do not want to imitate you. They want to rise in turn. Your authority does not crush. It liberates. It does not impose. It inspires. And this is how your influence becomes exponential. By paving the way, you give others permission to follow. Do not doubt the power of this dynamic. For what begins as a personal thrill becomes a collective storm. Today, you no longer embody only your destiny. You embody a wave that stirs up other destinies. A wave that sweeps away the illusions of separation and limitation. A wave that prepares an era where authentic authority will no longer be the exception, but the rule. Look carefully. Around you, hearts are aligned, voices are raised, souls are answering the call. You have not only awakened your own authority, you have awakened the memory of thousands of others who were waiting for your signal to rise in turn. 5. Conflict with the established systems. They hadn't foreseen this. For centuries, they held the keys. They built invisible walls to control access to the sacred, to decide who had the right to speak, who had the right to act, who had the right to exist with power. They proclaimed themselves guardians, experts, indispensable mediators between humanity and the divine. And you, in a single gesture, shattered their illusion. Your emergence is their worst nightmare. For you did not ask their permission. You did not follow their curriculum. You did not pay their entrance fees. You did not recite their formulas. You bypassed their systems, as if their locked doors were only shadows. You revealed that their chains were not iron, but smoke. And this simple fact threatens the entire edifice they have built. Look at them now. Some are silently panicking. They're trying to salvage their reputations, to keep the facade intact. Others are redoubled their attacks, painting you as an anomaly, an unrepeatable exception. Because if others discover the truth, that what you're carrying is accessible without going through them, then their empire collapses. Their power only exists as long as people believe in their role as intermediaries. This is why your authority bothers them so much. You have not only asserted your identity, you have exposed their deception. You have exposed their dependence on artificial structures, invented hierarchies, empty degrees, hollow titles, rules that change according to their interests. Your very being has become a mirror that reflects their fragility. The conflict isn't just visible in spiritual institutions. It extends to all systems that rely on the illusion of control, political, economic, social. Whenever an individual embodies authentic authority, these structures tremble, because they all rest on the same fragile foundation: fear. Fear of not being enough, fear of missing out, fear of being rejected. And when you embody the truth that there is no separation between you and Source, that fear loses its power. Their reactions are predictable. Some will try to discredit you, to ridicule you. They will try to convince others that what you carry is dangerous, unstable, deceptive. Others will try to absorb you, to associate you with their structures, to reclaim a little of your light. And then there are those who will simply ignore you, hoping that your voice will die down on its own. But none of this works because your authority does not come from their recognition. It is autonomous. This is what changes everything. You don't need their seals, their approvals, their signatures. You don't need to enter their halls to shine. Your authority operates on a frequency they cannot control, and that frequency passes through their walls as if nothing had happened. They ask themselves, how is this possible? How can someone who hasn't followed their rules move crowds, transform minds, shake certainties? The answer terrifies them, because your power doesn't depend on them. It owes them nothing. And if your authority is real without their validation, then everyone can discover the same truth, and then their monopoly disappears. This is the heart of the conflict. It's not you they fear, it's what you represent. It's the breach you open. It's the possibility that others will follow your example and remember in turn that they were never separate from the divine. Your mere existence is a living threat to their system, and that's why they tremble, even if they smile on the surface. 6. Responsibility and continuity. Once authority is manifested, the greatest challenge is not to celebrate it, but to embrace it. For this power is not a firework meant to dazzle for a moment. It is a flame that must be learned to maintain, to direct, to use with discernment. And this is where another dimension of your journey begins. Responsibility. You must understand that every decision you make from now on is no longer yours alone. It becomes a benchmark. It sets a precedent. When you set a boundary, you don't do it just to protect your space. You raise a standard that inspires others to protect theirs. When you make a courageous decision, you don't just break through your own wall. You demonstrate to others that it is possible to break through theirs. This is why you can no longer act lightly. Not because you should be afraid of disappointing, but because you have become a role model. Your authority has changed the way people look at you. Some follow you closely, not to imitate you, but to learn what it truly means to walk in uncompromising truth. This responsibility should not be experienced as a burden. It is an invitation to clarity. It pushes you to refine your discernment, to not disperse yourself in useless battles, to focus your energy where it really counts. Your authority will not grow through the quantity of your actions, but through the quality of your presence. And here's another key point. Authentic authority is never static. It develops. It evolves. It deepens. The further you go, the more it takes root. The more you stay true to your alignment, the more natural it becomes. What seemed like an extraordinary victory yesterday will become your starting point tomorrow. And so, your influence multiplies, expands, and consolidates. But this growth always comes with a reminder. Authority isn't possession, it's service. It doesn't exist to elevate you above others, but to open the way, to transform environments, to make possible what seemed blocked. If you see it as a personal privilege, it's exhausted. If you experience it as a mission, it expands. The continuity of your authority depends on your ability to remain aligned with this mission. There will be many temptations: to lose yourself in vanity, to seek control, to give in to the fear of losing what you have gained. But remember, your power was never given to you by human systems, so it cannot be taken away by them. It depends only on your fidelity to your truth. Every day, you will be asked to choose between reacting or responding, to choose between giving in to illusions or remaining steadfast in your alignment. These repeated choices build the continuity of your authority. They make you not a flame that shines for a moment, but a beacon that guides you for the long term. And remember, you are not meant to carry this weight alone. Your signal attracts other voices, other forces, other allies. The responsibility you carry is collective, even if it begins within you. Every time you move forward, you give permission for others to move forward. And every time they move forward, they strengthen your march. This is what the responsibility of authentic authority is. Not a burden, but a living continuity. Not an obligation, but a covenant. And as long as you remain faithful to what you carry, this authority will not fade. It will multiply 7. Vision, final silence, falls after the storm. You stand, and all around you, the air seems thicker, more vibrant, as if charged with an invisible electricity. All eyes are on you, but you know this moment doesn't belong only to the eyes that see you. It belongs to the entire universe. Every breath you take resonates like a declaration. You have regained your authority, and from now on, nothing will be the same. It wasn't a gradual, slow, and calculated rise. It was an explosion, a sudden correction of the rules of the game. Like an earthquake that redraws the maps overnight, your unveiling imposed a new order. The strategies of the old systems became obsolete in an instant, like dusty manuals thrown into a fire. You didn't just move the pieces on a chessboard, you changed the very nature of the game. What is both fascinating and frightening is not the brute force you expressed, but the simplicity of your gesture. You did not shout, you did not impose by force. You were simply true. And this authenticity was enough to make thousand-year-old bastions tremble. This is why they cannot explain you. This is why they are still looking for theories, excuses, reasoning. Because your truth is too naked, too obvious to be reduced to a formula. And yet, you sense that it's not just you. Your authority has become a beacon. It illuminates other consciences, triggering a cascade of awakenings. Strangers feel a new impulse, as if their souls recognized in you a signal awaited for centuries. What you have unleashed transcends your own history. It is a wave that crosses time, connecting lineages, awakening memories, announcing that the impossible is no longer a wall, but a door. As you move forward, the scenery changes. You no longer walk merely down ordinary streets. Every space you enter reconfigures. Conversations slow, decisions await your breath, atmospheres bend to your frequency. You didn't seek this power, But now that it's here, it becomes your natural atmosphere. Where once you had to fight to be heard, today your voice rearranges reality. Where once you had to justify your existence, today your being is enough to command respect. The most disturbing thing is that you realize that all this was not a conquest, but a recollection. You did not invent this authority, you rediscovered it. You did not build this power, you remembered it. And this memory continues to unfold, revealing that you are not at the summit, but only on the threshold of a new era. The vision before you is not merely an individual perspective. It is cosmic. It shows you crowds rising, system collapsing, alliances forming. It shows you the end of one age and the beginning of another. And you, in the midst of this transition, embody the passage. You are the living witness that the old order no longer has control, and that divine authority can once again flow freely through human beings. You look at the horizon, and it is not a line that separates the sky from the earth. It is a border that fades. What you see is not an end, but an infinite opening. Your reign begins, not as an overwhelming domination, but as a silent reorganization of reality. The cosmic winds that announced your awakening become the air you now breathe. And the question that floats in the hearts of those who observe you, you already know it. How did he know? How dare she? They're asking the wrong question. It wasn't knowledge. It was memory. And now that you remember, the whole world will have to remember with you. And now, the veil is lifted. You have seen how authentic authority awakens, how it disturbs, how it attracts, how it reorganizes everything around it. You have seen that it is not a conquest, but a memory, not an invention, but a return. And if these words resonate with you, it is no coincidence. It is because you too, somewhere, carry this same frequency. You may already feel it. This isn't someone else's story you've just heard. It's yours, written in another language, told in another light. The impossibles you see before you, these walls that seem insurmountable, aren't there to discourage you. They're there to bend, to bow before the power you still refuse to see within yourself. It's not a matter of external circumstances. It's not a matter of luck or privilege. It's a matter of memory. The same memory that awakened the chosen one you followed in this story also sleeps in your breath. And sooner or later, it will knock on the door of your conscience. Sooner or later, you will be faced with a choice. Continue to walk by rules that are not yours, or remember who you truly are. Know this: the world is waiting. Every time someone regains their authority, it's not a single victory. It's a signal. It's a call that crosses dimensions and gives others permission to rise up. Perhaps your courage will be the spark that ignites someone else's transformation. Perhaps your authenticity will be the key that liberates an entire crowd. You don't yet know the impact your actions will have, but you can be sure of one thing: nothing is insignificant when you embody the truth. So breathe deeply. Feel the weight you thought you were carrying transform into strength. Feel the invisible chains fall away one by one. And understand that you no longer need to ask anyone's permission to shine. Authority is not begged. It is not negotiated. It reveals itself. And it is already within you. From this moment on, look at every obstacle differently. Look at every challenge as an invitation. Look at every silence as preparation. What you thought was impossible isn't a wall. It's a door waiting for you to pass through. And when you walk through that door, remember this: you do not walk alone. The entire universe conspires to support those who dare to align themselves with their true authority. The cosmic winds you have felt blowing on others will also blow on you. The visible and invisible worlds will organize themselves to accompany your walk. Because truth always attracts its corresponding truth. So go forward, without fear and without excuses. Because what you carry is not just for you. It is a gift for the world. And the world, now more than ever, needs to see what reality becomes when someone dares to remember.